What's going on, guys? My name is Trevor. Welcome back to the channel. Transformers Rise of the Beast rolled its way into theaters this past weekend, making it the 7th live-action Transformers movie. So today, we're ranking all 7 movies from my least favorite to my favorite. I'm a pretty big fan of this franchise. I have some enjoyment with all of these movies, some obviously more than others, but let me know down below in the comment section how your ranking compares with mine. What comes in at number 1, and what did you think of Transformers Rise of the Beast? Leave a like. Let's get into this ranking. So at number 7 is Transformers The Last Knight. Pretty understandable for this movie being in last place, but for me, the main reason it is in last place is because I hardly remember this movie at all. I remember seeing it in theaters back in 2017 and not being too impressed with it. I did enjoy the third act. That's about all I really remember about this movie, but making Optimus Prime the villain of this just never sat well with me, and Mark Wahlberg in this universe never sat well with me either. I just don't remember too much about this movie, so by default, it really comes in last. At number 6 is Transformers Age of Extinction. I remember coming out of this movie kind of laughing at it with my friends, but also like, that was kind of cool with the Dinobots. The main problem here with me is Mark Wahlberg, his relationship with his daughter, and his relationship with his daughter's boyfriend, who was like a secret the whole time. That just never sat well with me. I thought all 3 of these characters were unbearable. I never liked Mark Wahlberg in this universe just at all. I just felt out of place. I felt they thought, hey, this is a big star. Let's put him in this movie. Let's see what he can do, and this is all he really did. I remember being kind of bored towards the beginning of this, but the one thing that really bothered me when I watched this was that he just happens to meet Bumblebee, then he's like hecka cool with Bumblebee out of nowhere. There was no build-up with it like with Sam Witwicky in the first 3 Transformers movies. There was no build-up to that friendship and that relationship, so that always just bugged me. That's a nitpick in the grand scheme of things, but let's just talk about some positives here. Optimus Prime riding on the back of like a T-Rex. I mean, that was dumb, yes, but God, was it cool. And I remember me and all my friends came out of the theater like, that was awesome. At number 5 for me is actually going to be Bumblebee. I really love Haley Steinfeld in this, and again, I like the coming-of-age, lower-stakes vibe throughout this movie, and it's just one I haven't gone back to really rewatch, so it's probably the hottest take of the day. Bumblebee's at 5. At number 4 is Transformers Dark of the Moon. There's a lot of problems with this movie, but there is a lot of fun to be had in this movie. Megan Fox is not in this one, so we have a new love interest with Sam that they explore, that I think they take probably too long to explore, because this one's one of the longer Transformers movies. I want to say it's pushing 2.5 hours, which is too long for an action blockbuster like this. They focus a lot on Sam trying to get back on his feet. He saved the world. Now he's not really needed as much anymore, so he's trying to go get a job. Patrick Dempsey's in there. Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, I believe her name is. She was one of the big supermodels at the time, so she was his co-star. And let's just talk about this. The main best part about this movie, the Battle of Chicago. I absolutely love that. I still have a lot of problems with a lot of the human characters. Not a big fan of really any of them besides Sam Witwicky and his parents. I think they're always great and hilarious. But the Transformers like coming off the moon, like on the dark side of the moon, you're like, well, it's kind of trippy and crazy. And then they have that big Battle of Chicago with that big like worm-looking Decepticon that like destroys the buildings falling in half. It's so awesome. It's epic. It's dope. And again, the Transformers are in trouble with humans, and Optimus Prime loves them, so what are you gonna do? At number 3 is Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. This is one of my guilty pleasure movies. I've always loved it. I always told people I didn't really like it because I was embarrassed to like it as much as I do, but I love it. I'm just gonna say it now. I absolutely love this movie. One of my favorite guilty pleasure sequels of all time. There's lots still going on in this movie. Sam's no longer in high school. He's going to college. Him and Megan Fox are taking that next step in a relationship. He's not saying the L word, and he's gonna go off to college. I found this movie incredibly funny. I never liked the girl who was like a Decepticon, and that was always weird to me, but this movie's incredibly funny, has those Michael Bay jokes. He always has a dick joke in there. He just has to include them in for whatever reason when he's looking up directly beneath the enemy scrotum. That will never not make me laugh. I'm sorry, that's just the humor, I guess, that makes me smile. But the battle in the forest with Starscream and Megatron against Optimus Prime, it was amazing. So well shot, it looks so real. Sam Witwicky's running around in there, they're after Sam, and basically the Allspark from the first film is falling right into this movie. It's a great sequel. That forest scene is awesome. Optimus Prime dies in front of our eyes. You're like, what is gonna happen? And he comes back to life in the sand battle with the Fallen, who I thought was just a dumb villain, but this movie's fun. I love Josh Duhamel in this one. I can go back and watch this one any day of the week. At number 2 is Transformers Rise of the Beast. Color me shocked for this one. I went in just low stakes from the last 2 Transformers movies besides Bumblebee I wasn't the biggest fan of, so I just didn't know what to go with this one. I like Anthony Ramos. Different director, no more Michael Bay attached to these movies anymore, so what's gonna happen, what's gonna go down, and I will stand by this. The script is terrible. There's so many lines that are delivered, and it's not the actor or actress's fault. It's just how the script is written. They're like, the world's gonna end. I'ma save it. There's like lines like that throughout this movie that just make you cringe. But put that aside. Pete Davidson as Mirage is the main reason this movie works as well as it does, because Mirage is a cool car that Anthony Davis finds. He's trying to steal so him and his friends can make some money, and he gets in him, and all of a sudden, obviously, it's an Autobot, and I would say he's the coolest Autobot we've gotten. Pete Davidson voices this guy so well. I was laughing my butt off throughout, and my entire theater was laughing their butts off throughout. It was nice to give Bumblebee a break, because he was such a big part of the first 3 Transformers movies, and got his own spin-off Bumblebee movie, so coming in here with Mirage, it was nice that Bumblebee was in there. He was awesome, and he had his moments, but Mirage was more of the focal point. That's what I loved, and Pete Davidson carries this movie. The ending, the third act, I thought was grand. I thought was epic. I think I had some of the best Transformers action that I've ever seen, and while there is moments that are cheesy, that like, there's like this whole Power Ranger suit-up thing with Anthony Ramos that I thought was cheesy, but I also enjoyed. My wife and I came out of this one, we looked at each other, I was like, that was pretty awesome. She was like, honestly, I enjoyed it. So, had a ton of fun with Transformers Rise of the Beast. Didn't expect to have that much fun, but one of my most biggest surprises of the year for me. But at number 1 is where it all began, the first Transformers. I remember vividly seeing this in theaters with one of my best friends at the time, and we were all up to date on these guys. There's Starscream, there's Megatron, there's Blackout, there's Optimus Prime, there's Bumblebee. And we just went in this movie knowing so much, ready to have a time of our lives. I remember we came out of this movie just head over heels wanting our car to turn into a freaking Autobot. That's what this movie made me feel. And I feel like since it's such a core memory for me, that this has to be number 1. Probably for nostalgia purposes, but overall this movie just gave me everything and more I wanted as a kid. Josh Duhamel is great as this military guy who really like is helping out Sam. He has an awesome moment when he's taking out Blackout with grenade launchers. Sector 7's hilarious. Everything about this movie just works for me. It's one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time, and it is my favorite Transformers movie of all time. Let me know your ranking of all 7 of these live-action Transformers movies down below in the comment section. What did you think of Rise of the Beast? What did you think of Mirage? What did you think of that ending? If you've seen it, let me know down below. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.